4 blended autonomic nervous system states we need to practice being in to heal mind-body concerns. Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. I've had a busy week. As I mentioned, I have a new puppy at home named Darla, and she is very beautiful, very full of life and hyper playful. So we've adjusted our lives accordingly. The cats are getting along actually pretty well with her. We were worried about that. You can see in the background here, Harry is hanging out. He's sleeping though. So he's gonna probably sleep during this whole video, but he's hiding down here from Darla for some alone time. And so today I have an exciting topic. We're gonna talk about 4 really important blended nervous system states that we need to practice being in to heal mind-body concerns. Now, when I was recovering, I really practiced being in these states consistently. And I wanna be clear, it takes practice. As we're gonna discuss, some of these states are hard to be in. They're hard for us to be in when we've been stuck in a high sympathetic or a high dorsal vagal shutdown state. When we've been in any of these overactive systems, these blended states of our nervous system can be difficult to be in, but are really important. They make up us having a regulated nervous system. And as you're going to learn today, a regulated nervous system is not just a relaxed nervous system. It's one that can tolerate having high energy and also having low energy. We need to be able to tolerate both in order to have a well-rounded, regulated nervous system. And this is not just going to help reduce mind-body concerns, but it's going to help you live a life that's full of love and passion and purpose. And so let's dive in to these 4 blended nervous system states. Number 1, playfulness. Now, playfulness is a blended state. It involves ventral vagal, where we feel safe, connected, calm, and at ease. And it also involves the sympathetic system, where we're mobilized. Now, playfulness can be a hard one for people to sit in, because a lot of times when we talk about the sympathetic system, we're talking about fight or flight. And fight and flight is part of the sympathetic system, but it's not all of it. We can have sympathetic energy and just be mobilized. Even as I'm talking to you right now, I can feel some sympathetic energy in my system. I'm excited about this topic. I'm excited to discuss it with you. And so my system's a bit mobilized. But with playfulness, we also need the ventral. We need to feel safe and connected. So it's a mix of the two. And when we've had chronic pain and symptoms for a long time, I truly understand that playfulness, being playful in life, just evaporates. It's no longer there. I spent so many years, especially when I was in chronic pain, having this high fight or flight sympathetic energy or being completely shut down in dorsal. And so there was no room for play. And so I empathize with people if you're struggling with this, but it takes practice starting to do this. For myself, I can take myself really serious. I really can. I can take myself and my life really serious. I can easily work myself over a ledge, just pushing and pushing more and more in my career and my hobbies or whatever I do. And so I need to practice, and it's hard for me. I needed to practice over time being playful. And so I encourage everyone to spend, 5 minutes twice a day practicing being playful. And you're going to have to practice. You may not have the feeling at first, but you want to engage in activities that could result in that feeling, in this blended state. For myself, my family, we love to do dance parties. So a lot of times when I'm putting my kids to bed, we're doing dance parties upstairs, or we're having, my kids call them stuffy parties. They're like stuffed animals. And basically what that involves is us just throwing stuffed animals at each other. But it's a moment of play. And it's a really important one. Even as I think about it right now, I get this playful, warm feeling. And even with my dog, Darla, there's 5 minutes here or there that we're just being playful. We're playing tug of war. we're chasing each other, we're having a good time. And so we want to practice doing this and just start small at first. But I encourage everyone, twice a day, 5 minutes, practice engaging in being playful. It's even better if you can do it with another human being or an animal. Animals are great for this. If we have trauma with human beings, animals can feel safer to be playful with at first. So do whatever feels right to you, but practicing being playful, it helps our system regulate. It helps us pull us out of this fearful place, this high sympathetic or dorsal shutdown place. And because of that, I truly believe it can help us recover from mind-body concerns as our system becomes more regulated and can tolerate having more energy and actually feel safe to have more energy. Number 2, passion. Passion is also a blended state. It's a blended state, just like play, of ventral vagal, safe and connected, and sympathetic, mobilized. Now, passion can be hard. For a lot of people with mind-body concerns, we end up using these maladaptive coping mechanisms, such as perfectionism or this high-achieving energy. Now, perfectionism, a lot of times people think maybe it's driven by purpose, but it's not. It's driven by fear. It's this fight or flight response that's taking place where we're just working more and more and more. And not because necessarily we want to, but we feel like we need to feel safe. So it comes out of fear. And for myself, working hard has never been difficult for me. I'm just speaking for myself right now. It really hasn't. I'm great at working hard. Working hard and being passionate and not in fear, I haven't been so good at over the years, and I needed to practice. But with passion, it also directs our energy somewhere else, away from our pain and symptoms, which can be beneficial long-term, as preoccupation around pain and symptoms can actually perpetuate them over time. And so having a little passion project can be super helpful for recovery. When I was recovering, I was probably a couple years into recovery, so I really wasn't having chronic symptoms at this point anymore. Every once in a while, I'd have the odd setback, but it was pretty brief. But I was still struggling with passion because every time I would get into something, I would all of a sudden feel all this pressure. I'd be self-critical, and it would just drive me forward with fear. And when we want to be driven forward with love and passion, Kristen Neff talks about this, as we want to motivate ourselves with compassion, and passion's a part of that. And so when I was a couple years in, my son was 1, and me and my friend decided we were going to write a children's book. And I was really excited about this. And it was something that was a little bit easier because it felt not threatening. Like it wasn't exactly the career path that I wanted to do. So I got excited, I got passionate about it, and I had this mobilized energy, but it was really mixed with this safe and connected energy as well. And that was really helpful for my recovery. That children's book, writing that taught me a lot. Now, never got published, and to be honest, never got finished. We both went into grad school soon after that. But those months that I was working on it, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about my nervous system, and I got used to actually being in this high energy state, but feeling safe to be there. And one thing we want to talk about, whether it's with playfulness or passion, they're important because a regulated nervous system is not one that's just relaxed. That's not it. You're not always going to be relaxed. There's going to be times in life when you have to deal with stressors, where you do need to work hard. There's times where being playful is important, and that's not being relaxed. A regulated nervous system is flexible. It's able to have high energy and then come back down to a safe and connected place. It's able to have low energy and come back to a safe and connected place. So that's what we're trying to teach our system to do, is to be flexible, so we're not getting rigidly stuck in these defense states of fight, flight, freeze, or shutdown. And so passion and playfulness can help you do this. They can teach us how to handle more energy in our system, but actually feel safe to do so. Number 3, stillness. Stillness is a blended state. It's a blended state of dorsal vagal, which typically is immobilization with fear, but with stillness, we're just having the immobilization part. And then we're mixing it with ventral vagal, where we feel safe and connected. That's what makes up stillness, is this dorsal vagal and ventral vagal. And stillness, in our society, we're not good at it. We are not. In a capitalistic society, stillness is not valued. What's valued is you doing more, you being more active, and succeeding more in whatever way success has been defined in your life. But that's we're taught as we kind of grow up. As I was a child, this is what I learned just from adults around me, what was being modeled. And so I really struggled with stillness. But Alan Gordon talks about how stillness is so important for healing mind-body concerns because it teaches us to attend to our internal state in a safe way. We bring in that ventral energy where we actually feel safe to be in our body. And we need to become embodied to heal mind-body concerns. And part of that is getting used to stillness, being able to have somatic awareness of our emotions, our autonomic state, our pain or symptoms, and learning to feel safe with that. And this isn't just about mind-body concerns. Practicing stillness can really allow us to live a more full life. For myself, I really struggled with this. And a lot of people do, because when people have sunk to a dorsal vagal shutdown place, being still and immobilized can feel really scary. It really can be. I've had episodes of depression in my life. And so when I was practicing stillness, all of a sudden I would just drop into dorsal really quick. So we need to titrate this. Sitting with stillness, it's not going to be a really easy thing to do for a lot of people. And I totally get that personally. So if stillness is really hard, just start with a few minutes. That's it. Just start with a few minutes at first. And by doing that, we learn to be connected with our internal state, and we learn to cultivate feelings of safety. So even if it's just a couple minutes a day, practice stillness. Number 4, intimacy. Now, intimacy is also a blended state, and it's a blended state of ventral vagal, safe and connected, and dorsal vagal, where we have the immobilization. When we're intimate with a partner or someone we love or care for, what happens is it can feel really vulnerable. That's what's involved in intimacy. There's this immobilization. Now, intimacy is really important for our recovery. It helps us co-regulate. A lot of the content I talk about on my channel, we're talking about self-regulation, all different ways to regulate ourselves. But co-regulation is a big part of polyvagal theory as well. And we want to honor that because our nervous systems, we're not alone in the world. Our nervous systems are feeding off one another. And so when we feel safe with someone, when we develop a trusting, intimate relationship, it can help heal our nervous system. It can help us regulate. And as a result, I believe it can help reduce chronic pain and symptoms. And I want to put a bit of disclaimer here around intimacy, just that you want to go slow with this and make sure it's with someone that you actually feel safe with, because intimacy can be really hard. If we've experienced trauma in relationships, intimacy can be a really difficult thing to feel safe doing. It can feel really vulnerable, and for a lot of people, it can be really triggering. And so if that's happening for you, make sure you reach out to a therapist that you trust and you have good rapport with, because intimacy is difficult, and I totally get that. And so cultivating it over time needs to be done slowly, especially if there's been trauma in relationships or if there's been major ruptures in relationships. But it's a really important state. So this is my video on 4 blended states that are important for you to practice being in so you can heal mind-body concerns. Again, it's playfulness, passion, stillness, and intimacy. Practicing these helps our nervous system regulate. It helps us learn to tolerate high energy and low energy within our system, but still have that ventral vagal energy. This is how homeostasis is achieved. And so practice this a bit, even if it's just for a few minutes a day. It can start to go a long way as we practice this consistently. So all of this content was from Polyvagal Theory. I have a Polyvagal Theory 101 that I discuss in another video, so I'll link that to the top here, because if you haven't checked that out, this video will make more sense if you go back and watch that one. Then you can come back and watch this one again. So please put your questions or comments down below, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to you all next week. Happy healing.